Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, family. This your T, aka the Young Lion. Doing a quick little video. You know what I'm saying? It's Shabbat. Cause it's been a lot of, I know down here in Memphis, it's been a lot of talk, you know, about lost books and, which ones to read, which ones do we not read. You know what I'm saying? It's it's a really like for anybody to believe you shouldn't be reading lost books. Like a man got to put that in your head because it's really not one scripture in the Bible that tells you don't read from any other lost books. All right. Uh, but what I'm bringing before you this morning on the Shabbat, I'm running a few little scriptures. I ain't gonna be before you long at all. Uh, but just some things to consider when you navigate these lost books and the scriptures. Uh, I'm gonna just show like when you slow down and read, you know what I'm saying, the scriptures from Genesis to Revelation, like you can recognize that our forefathers was dealing with other literature. You understand? So we just gonna put a few things on your mind this morning, some things and scriptures to consider when you navigate through the lost books. For example, we got the book of Jasher right here. We got the Apocrypha. Uh, these are books that, you know what I'm saying, we use as many other books, pseudepigrapha, Old Testament, New Testament. I get into it, the book of Enoch, get into it. Uh, but right here, the first spot we're gonna go to is we're gonna deal with the book of Jasher. So we're just gonna hit like four quick precepts just to show, man, our forefathers, they dealt with the book of Jasher. So anybody telling you, you know what I'm saying, that you wicked for dealing with this, you know what I'm saying, that you just take them to these four scriptures and then just ask them, like, why are these four scriptures in here? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, bros, they be looking for uh, something superficial. Like they be looking for something like, and it says in the Apocrypha, in the Book of Tobit. Like, yeah, you might not see that. You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely scriptures in here. It's definitely scriptures in here. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. It's definitely scriptures in here that let you know what I'm saying, that our forefathers and our ancestors was up on certain things in history. You know what I'm saying, that you can only find in some of these lost books. Mm, mm. So let's get this first spot. This first spot right here is we gonna deal with the precepts to the book of Jasher first, and then we're gonna go to Joshua chapter 10 and verse 13, just to show you, man, it's in here. Pages sticking together, man. Joshua 10 and verse 13 says, and the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and hasted not to go down the whole day. Now, what can we read about this in the book of Jasher? This book of Jasher, chapter 89, is where you can read about that account. So, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, if anybody's in opposition, just ask them to show you one scripture in here that commands us not to read from other books. It ain't one. It ain't one. You got Ecclesiastes chapter 12 that tell you be careful what you read because everything may not be inspired. So, but that's not telling you not to read. It's just telling you be careful what you read. A lot of brothers use that script and try to twist it and make it seem like it's telling you not to get into other books. But that's just a doctrine of man. So if you scared to read other books because you scared you gonna fall away, like I heard one brother say, you read the lost books, you gonna get lost with them. Prove where you get that from? Where you get that logic from? Huh? That's a doctrine of man. a man put that in your head because you can't read in the scripture where it tell you not to read other books. You can't read one scripture. And then some brews, I done heard some brews even try to twist the scripts and say if you read other books, you adding to and taking from scripture. Well, how is that when it's all painting the same picture? Prove that it's painting a different picture. That's when you add and taking it away. You see, brothers twist the scripts so that it can fit their doctrine. Y'all have to be careful of that, Zion. Brothers twist the scriptures so that it can fit what they push, the doctrine that they push and believe. If they account that pushes, we don't deal with the lost books because you going to get lost with them, of course they going to discourage you from reading lost books. You see what I'm saying? Then you have to ask yourself, well, why are these brothers going so hard and telling me not to read something? But a book that he write, he encouraged you to read something that he wrote. Like that's are you following man? Are you under a spell? Under man's spell? Think about that. Alright, so that was one precept. That was Joshua chapter 10 and 13. The second precept is 2 Samuel chapter 1. 2 Samuel chapter 1, and we're gonna read verse 18. And it says, and he also bade them uh, teach the children of Judah the use of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher. There it goes again. There it goes again. He said it's written in the book of Jasher. Well, how do you know that's the real book of Jasher? Just read it, brother. The same way you wanted to know about Genesis to Revelation, you had to sit down, crack it open, read it, pray for the understanding. And that's how you got to understand it. But all of a sudden, we don't want to take that approach. We get all, you know, uh, nah, I ain't gonna get into it. We get scared. What y'all scared for? You know what I'm saying? It's telling you right in here, look, these things, you can go read more about it in the book of Jasher. And how you know if you need to put the lost book down or not is use the law as your measuring stick. That's the measuring stick for everything. If it's something in there that's written that goes against the commandments, we got to put it down. Or if it's something in there that contradicts what you can read in here, we got to put it down. But the first time you see something that may throw you off, don't think that it's an error. It may just be your understanding is off. You know what I'm saying? That's a proud spirit to think ain't nothing wrong with your understanding, and that it's the books. Watch that. Watch that. Next spot we gonna go to Second Timothy. Next spot we're gonna go to is Second Timothy, chapter 3, and verse 8. Now, how did Paul know this piece of information? Huh? And this happened. He finna reference you to people who was back in Egypt when we was in captivity in Egypt. Now, how did Paul know about this? How did he know this? 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 8. It says, now as James and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds reprobate concerning the faith. So who was he talking about? James and Jambres, the two magicians that withstood Moses. Now how did Paul know their names? Because they not mentioned in Exodus chapter 7. Nowhere in Exodus. So how did Paul know the names of the two magicians? Mm. Alright, I'm finna flip to Jasher 79. I'm finna go to Jasher the 79th chapter, y'all. Jasher 79. Jasher 79. I'm gonna read verse 27. Jasher chapter 79 verse 27. It says, and when they had gone, Pharaoh sent for Balaam the magician, and to Jannes and Jambres his sons. Wow, so they were sons of Balaam. and to all the magicians and conjurers and counselors which belong to the king. And they all came and sat before the king. So there's another precept about the book of Jasher, right? That's Jasher 79, verse 27. Mm. So could Paul have been dealing with the book of Jasher? Mm. Something to consider, right? Something to consider. All right, let's go to another precept. Last precept. Ezekiel chapter 16. Ezekiel chapter 16, and I'm going to read verse 49. Just one verse, verse 49. Behold, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom. Pride, fullness of bread, abundance of idleness was in her and in her daughters. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. Now, what is Ezekiel talking about? He's comparing the sins of Israel to to the sins of Sodom. Letting you know spiritually y'all related because of how y'all acted. You know what I'm saying? But how did Ezekiel know everything that went on in Sodom if he was only reading what Moses wrote? And what we know is Genesis today. How would he know about all this? Because in Genesis it only mentions the sodomy that was going on in Sodom and Gomorrah. So how did he know the sins of Sodom was pride, fullness of bread, and abundance of idleness was in her, and neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor? So the homework I'm gonna give y'all, my brothers and sisters, is to go read Jasher chapter 18 and chapter 19. Auto and read chapter 18 and 19. That's your homework. How did Ezekiel know all the sins of Sodom if he only read Genesis 18 or what Moses had wrote then? And it only mentions sodomy in Genesis 18. Mm. Something else to think about. Something else to think about. And yeah, we did two lessons, you know what I'm saying, on our channel dealing with this book, the Apocrypha. You know what I'm saying? We went through a bunch of the things that naysayers like to say, you know what I'm saying? I encourage all my brothers and sisters to go back and check that out. Go back and check them lessons out. Get your pen and paper out, take notes, meditate on it. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm a hit one more. I'm dealing with the Apocrypha. I'm gonna hit one more. I'm gonna hit one more dealing with the Apocrypha. And we coming out of Hebrews chapter 11, the faith chapter. And this one that jumped off the page at me a couple of weeks ago, and I ain't never think about it. It's Hebrews 11 and verse 35. It says, women received their dead raised to life again, and others were tortured, not accepting deliverance, that they might obtain a better resurrection. Now, Paul running down things, you know what I'm saying? By faith, people did this. By faith, people did that. And then in this verse 35, he said, by faith, women received their dead, raised to life again. And we can go read about that in 1 Kings chapter 17, right? Like 17 through 25, something like that. 2 Kings and 2 Kings 4, the fourth chapter. But what about this last part? And others were tortured, not accepting deliverance, that they might obtain a better resurrection. What about that part? Huh? Well, how did Paul know this, or where in from Genesis to Revelation can we read about others being tortured, not accepting death, that they might obtain a better resurrection? Where can we read that? What can we read about that at? From Genesis to Revelation? You ain't. But you know where you can read about that? I get my brothers and sisters some more homework. Go check out 2 Maccabees chapter 7, verses 1 through 42. verses 1 through 42. But that's all I have for y'all, man. I just wanted to, you know what I'm saying, put the little quick video out because there's been a lot of controversy. I know people still been asking us a lot of questions about, you know what I'm saying, these two books in particular. Uh, Most High willing, you know what I'm saying, we'll have some more lessons, you know what I'm saying, dealing with some of these books, some of these topics in the near future. But Shabbat Shalom, my brothers and sisters, I pray I have a peaceful Sabbath. And y'all blessed.